If we strip away the details of your physical appearance and look at you through the lens of topology, the mathematics of shape and connectivity, every animal on this planet shares the exact same identity. You are a tube, open at two ends, with layers folded in between. In the strict mathematical sense, you are a donut that learned to walk. Inside this biological tube, life requires surprisingly little complexity, relying on three mechanical operations running constantly. There is osmosis, which is water moving across cellular boundaries. There is diffusion, where molecules spread from high concentration to low. And there are pressure gradients, driving the bulk flow of fluids. Lungs, kidneys, neurons, they are all just these three operations running in parallel. Water drives all of this. By mass, you are approximately 70% water. Your blood plasma mirrors the ionic composition of ancient Precambrian seawater, with precise ratios of sodium, potassium, and calcium. When vertebrates crawled onto land 375 million years ago, they carried the sea in their veins, trapping ancient ocean chemistry inside a portable membrane boundary. You are a delicate water gradient system that built solid scaffolding around itself to survive on land. The boundary holding all that ancient water together is the cell membrane. Specifically, it is a lipid bilayer, a double sheet of molecules that forms an active, electrified wall, selectively pumping ions in and out to keep the chemistry inside alive. Every single cell on Earth uses the exact same architectural membrane. A microscopic bacterium, a leaf on a tree, a human brain neuron, a coral polyp in the Pacific, they all use identical lipid bilayers, identical ion channels, and identical molecular motors. All cellular life descended from a single ancestor roughly 3.8 billion years ago. Because that exact membrane architecture has been conserved with total fidelity across all that time, it implies a literal physical continuity. The original membrane never stopped being one object. It folded, it diversified, and it grew incredibly complex, but it never actually tore. Earth's biosphere is a single continuous electrochemical film suspended across the entire planetary water substrate, the oceans, groundwater, and atmospheric moisture connecting it all. You represent a highly complex, temporary local fold in a 4-billion-year-old unbroken planetary membrane. Maintaining this biological order faces a severe physical threat, the second law of thermodynamics. This law dictates that isolated systems inevitably evolve toward maximum entropy. Entropy is a measure of disorder, the tendency for concentrated energy and structured gradients to eventually spread out, break down, and collapse. Death is simply the moment a local system stops maintaining its internal gradients and equilibrates with its environment. The molecules stop pumping, the electrical voltage across the membrane collapses, and the biology fades into background noise. To survive this physical law, the membrane cannot be isolated. It has to continuously import massive amounts of outside energy to maintain its internal order. It stays highly organized by exporting disorder out into its surroundings. The engine providing that energy is the sun. The immense temperature difference between the burning surface of a star and the freezing vacuum of deep space creates a massive thermodynamic flow, pouring 174 petawatts of energy onto Earth's surface. That solar energy enters the biological membrane through photosynthesis. Photons drive electrons up an energy gradient inside plant leaves, storing the sun's power in chemical bonds. That captured energy then cascades downward through every food chain, powering the muscle of every predator and the digestion of every microbe. The entire biosphere is one continuous energy transduction network. It actively fights off physical death by feeding directly on the energy of a star. Energy alone isn't enough. A planet-sized membrane with raw power but no timing signal would devolve into biochemical chaos. To function as a coordinated entity, it requires a master clock to phase lock its operations. The moon provides that signal. For billions of years, its 29.5-day orbital cycle has acted as a heavy, periodic gravitational metronome, physically churning the tides and synchronizing early biological chemistry in the oceans. The biological evidence of this lunar entrainment is undeniable. Across thousands of kilometers, massive coral reefs containing hundreds of different species synchronize their reproductive release to the exact night of the full moon. With no chemical signal capable of traveling that fast, the entire biological system fires as one, cued by the light and gravity of the moon. Inside the human body, this timing is handled by a structure called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. It is a dedicated neural wire in your brain that bypasses the visual centers entirely. Its sole purpose is to report solar light levels to coordinate your internal physiology, spiking cortisol at dawn to wake you up, and releasing melatonin at dusk to repair your cells. This tight dependency creates a physical vulnerability during the autumn equinox, known as the October boundary. As the solar photoperiod collapses rapidly, the human membrane is forced to radically reconfigure its internal chemistry. The thermoregulatory system oscillates rapidly, drawing down metabolic reserves, and the mucosal barriers in our airways physically loosen. Your health is a biological carrier frequency, modulated entirely by the physical movements of a star and a rock in space. Every major human civilization independently built ritual practice and religious calendars into their schedule. These routines functioned as sophisticated behavioral technologies designed to manage biological energy and reinforce the membrane's connection to cosmic timing signals. Practices like caloric fasting, rhythmic breathing, and strict daily prayer schedules directly modulate the autonomic nervous system. They lower oxidative stress, trigger cellular self-repair mechanisms, and actively reduce the amount of entropy the membrane produces internally. The populations that survived brutal historical and evolutionary filters did so by passing down these exact traditions. They inherited field-tested thermodynamic maintenance protocols necessary for keeping the biology stable in a high-entropy universe. Human culture itself acts as the membrane's collective defense mechanism, forcing the local folds to stay phase-locked with the cosmic clock. If all life on Earth is a single membrane running continuous gradient maintenance operations, it raises one final question. What exactly is the self that is currently watching this video? At a certain depth of complexity, the membrane begins to monitor its own states. It builds neural networks, cells entirely dedicated to detecting chemical gradients and reporting them to other cells. That internal mapping, comparing the body's current state to its predicted future, is what you experience as consciousness. You are the membrane's internal model of itself, the cosmos folded inward and looking out. You can feel this continuity in the involuntary breath. Notice that you did not decide to take your last breath. The tube is running itself, drawing on the sun's energy, operating exactly as it has since before your awareness even began. Death is simply a local unfolding. It is a graceful return of your material and your specific gradients back into the larger, continuous planetary field for reuse in new configurations. The boundary of your skin is a temporary illusion. You are a self-aware fold in an ancient biological continuum, ticking perfectly in time with the sun and the moon.